Hey everybody, welcome to the Farzy Show, presented by Destination Retirement, destinationretirement.com. Coming to you live as we do every weekday from the Steven Singer Studio, live at 6 a.m. Jordan Hall from NBC Sports Philadelphia joins us today to talk about all things Claude Giroux and a potential return by the Flyers, now former captain, now a member of the Florida Panthers. That trade went down. I'll give you my reaction to that trade. Also, Nick Castellanos is a Philly. John Middleton, you beautiful bastard. Oh, my goodness. When you said stupid money just a couple of years ago about that Bryce Harper fella, $330 million, and then you get Nick Castellanos and you get Kyle Schwarber for, like, the price of just Chris Bryant, not too bad there, fella. Just spending money left and right, and that's what we love to see, going over the luxury tax threshold. I never thought I'd see the day. Like, a couple of things have really changed in the last 10 years of the Phillies, aside from them, missing the playoffs all the time. A couple of things have changed. John Middleton has become the principal owner, the managing partner, I think is the proper way to put it, because it's him and the Buck cousins, right? So that's enjoyable. John Middleton at least being at the helm, at least we now have like a real face of ownership, and one that is all about drive, dedication, one that just really wants to take the bull by the horn, so to speak. And as much as I love David Montgomery, John Middleton brings a totally different attitude to the Phillies front office. Now, in the regime of David Montgomery, they won a World Series, so I'd like to get back to that. And I felt this past weekend, and really this past week of Philadelphia Phillies offseason baseball, and that's now you're in spring training, has been the biggest exclamation point in the John Middleton-led ownership era. This has been the biggest last week. It's been the last couple of days. This is the way to put it. With this Phillies front office, this Phillies ownership, it has been the biggest of the John Middleton, I want my damn trophy back. Well, he didn't say damn, but you get what I'm saying. From that famous article from, yes, you guessed it, Mike Sealski, capturing what John Middleton had to say to Ryan Howard after they lost the World Series to the Yankees in 2009. After this weekend, it felt like the biggest exclamation point had been put on that statement. I want my trophy back. Well, he went out and got Kyle Schwarber. He already went out and gotten Bryce Harper. He already went out and was paying Zach Wheeler. And now Schwarber and Castellanos? Oh, baby, what did I say last week? Get greedy? Phillies got greedy. Jay Middles got greedy. And now you got one hell of a lineup. I just like drawing up lineups. What do you guys say? Like someone with real spit. I still think Kyle Schwarber, with his on-base percentage, his power, his ability to take pitches and all that stuff. Still, I love him at the leadoff spot. Other people have like Gene Segura at the leadoff spot. I'm like, not so fast. I'm not there, but I still have Schwarber at the top of that lineup. I love Castellanos batting like fifth in this lineup. I love to have JT Realmuto or even Castellanos bat fourth, but I like Castellanos fifth. You could also have, like I said, Schwarber leading off. You could have Rhys Hoskins batting. I mean, in this lineup, you're talking about possibly batting sixth. And then you can also have JT Realmuto in the cleanup spot. To me, this is just bonkers. I think what ultimately happens with what Joe Girardi goes with, I think the lineup you're going to see with the Phillies is Schwarber, Hoskins, Harper, Realmuto, Castellanos, and you might even have Castellanos bat fourth, and then you have JT Realmuto bat fifth. I just could not be more excited. I now want to see what happens when it comes to the shortstop spot. And for Mally, by the way, who hit me up on Twitter over the weekend, he goes, "What do you think of the Phillies now?" And I go, "Phillies are great. Baseball still sucks." That's still where I'm at. You're still not going to catch me watching like a random Sunday night baseball game. Like that fandom is dead. But when it comes to the Phillies, oh baby, I'm ready to party. So we'll get into the Phillies conversation a little bit more. Like I said, we'll get into the Claude Giroux trade, and we'll get into the 76ers. And last night, their loss to the Raptors was embarrassing. I don't know how they walk through that type of performance. I think it's a classic case of A, being tired, B, looking ahead to the Heat. I think that's what it really comes down to. And I know we can talk at length, and we will for a little bit, about James Harden and the final play of the game, the foul that was called on him, the flagrant one. I really hate, let me just get this off my chest. I hate the way the word flagrant has changed in the NBA. Like, growing up, Flagrant was, flagrant foul? Oh, I have to see it because somebody got punched in the face and then they went into the stands and punched that person's mother in the face. Like, now it's a flagrant. Now a flagrant foul is like, he hit him with an elbow. I don't know if it was intentional, but it's a flagrant one. We'll just say it's a flagrant one because it was unnecessary contact. Okay. Literally, here, I'll show you the rule. I brought this up. Check this out, okay? All right? This is our graphics department. All right? Highlight it. Flagrant one. Unnecessary contact committed by a player against an opponent. Unnecessary contact. Okay. How are you supposed to make it unnecessary? Like, how are you supposed to make a necessary elbow? Like, I don't know. Okay. Those should be pretty obvious. Oh, or here's another word. Flagrant. All right. James Harden's play last night was not flagrant. James Harden's play last night, unnecessary. I don't know what he's supposed to do in that situation. I saw him call the offensive foul, and honestly, before I even thought anything flagrant, I saw the referee call the offensive foul, and I went, that's a good call. I honestly, as much as I wanted to be a homer and be like, don't get me wrong, I was surprised that James Harden, in the final play of a game, with the game on the line, doesn't get the benefit of the doubt on the call. That was just a surprising thing, and that's not because I'm a Sixers fan. That's because it's the NBA, and I was shocked he didn't get the call on that. But when I looked at it, I was like, ooh, like if my initial reaction before I even saw the call from the referee, my initial reaction was, that's an offensive foul, but Harden will probably get the benefit of the doubt. He did not get the benefit of the doubt. He did not get the star treatment in that call. And then when I saw they were reviewing it for a flagrant to give 2 shots to the Raptors, I was thinking to myself, what? And I saw the elbow go into the face of Boucher for the Toronto Raptors. And I thought, okay, well, there's no way that was intentional. And it's unnecessary. I mean, 2 players are jumping into the air, one attacking the basket, the other defending the basket. How the hell do you term that as unnecessary? I don't know what James Harden's supposed to do. Oh, sorry, you're trying to block me. I'll just fade away. What? He's making a clear path to the basket. Boucher jumps in his path, goes straight up. They both go up at the same time. And as Harden's going up as a left-handed shooter, his right elbow is going to be out. What is he supposed to do in that situation? And I'm like, I first off, flagrant, I don't understand what the hell they're even talking about anymore when they talk about flagrant fouls. As I said, it had to be an atrocity. A crime had to be committed in the back of the day. When I say back in the day, it'd be like 5 years ago. And now it's a totally different thing what they mean with flagrant fouls. So I watched the replay, watched it a couple more times, and I still, for the life of me, can't figure out flagrant foul. Jim Lynam, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen it, Jim Lynam broke it down. Coach Lynam, all the credit in the world. I love this guy. Broke it down with a little bit of attitude on the post-game show last night with Amy Fadul and Mark Jackson, as well as Coach Lynam on NBC Sports Philadelphia. Check this out. This is Coach Lynam breaking down the offensive flagrant foul called on James Harden after the game.
When you say maybe an extra elbow, that's the essence of the question. To me, no, there was no extra elbow. James Harden went up and shot a layup. The fact of the matter is Boucher, he made a good defensive play, but he put himself in jeopardy. I got news for you. I don't have to change my layup motion because you happen to stick your face right here. To me, as egregious as it looked, and I think Mark is dead on, ref had the call right from the beginning. That's what he saw. He saw a guy get hit in the face. To me, it's play on, dude. There is no foul. Nobody did anything wrong defensively, and for me, James Harden did nothing wrong offensively. You're allowed to do this. You see that elbow? I don't have to, there's your face, I'm going to do that. No, I don't have to do that. I'm allowed to shoot my layup.
Coach Lynam is absolutely killing me on post-game live. He had like that Philly totally thing, totally egregious. He said that a couple of weeks ago. And then what really got me in this particular rant that he gave was this.
It's play on, dude. It's play on, dude.
I'm going to tell you right now, folks, I'm going to get really annoying with that. That will be played for years. I'm going to play that. I'm going to play the hell out of that just for years to come, just forever. Anytime somebody's bitching about a contract, somebody's bitching about not getting a foul call, whatever it might be.
It's play on, dude.
That's going to be my stance from Coach Lynam. Just going to warn you. It's going to get bad.
It's play on, dude.
As for the game, the rest of the game. Outside of that's not why they lost the game last night. They lost the game last night because they couldn't throw the ball in the ocean and they couldn't get an offensive rebound to save their lives. Sixers last night, pop this up on the screen for you just so you can see it at home. Sixers last night were egregious. Joel Embiid, MVP of the league, 6 for 20. That's not good. He was actually rebounding. The only one rebounding last night. James Harden had 9 rebounds. But other than that, he had 17 points, James Harden. Did 5 for 12 from the line. 5 for 12 from the floor. 0 for 4 from the three-point line. No bueno. And if you see James Harden 7 for 10 from the free throw line, you think, 70%, not a terrible night. But 2 missed free throws with 2:25 remaining in the game. Sixers down 2 points. No, Sixers down 87-86. Down 87-86. He goes to the free throw line, misses both with 2:25 left in the game. Pascal Siakam goes down the other end, hits a jumper. Next thing you know, the Sixers are down 3. They had an opportunity to be up 1 if he makes both his free throws. And then the other number that jumps out to me here, Sixers had 10 turnovers in this game. Anything? Not terrible. James Harden had 6 of them. Come on, man. That ain't right. And then we could always look at the constant 13 points from the bench on a night. George Niang still gave you 3 threes. This is an abysmal box score. You want to tell me about how the Sixers couldn't concentrate? You want to tell me if they were tired? Fine. But what Doc Rivers had to say after the game, I didn't necessarily agree with. He talked about execution. They didn't execute. They couldn't draw up anything and execute it on the court. Guys standing around doing nothing. That's the only part of it I agree with. And that was one of his messages when he was asked about what went wrong in a game like this. He said, basically, the Sixers seemed aimless last night. Here's Doc Rivers on his team's performance.
I didn't think we had the right approach. So, don't know why, but we didn't tonight. Thought everyone just stood around and watched each other play. That's not how we've been playing. So, it's funny. You feel like you're getting it, and then you have one of these. You don't overdo it. But we did not play with any urgency tonight at all, offensively or defensively. And we still held them to 93 points.
When you want to talk about urgency, that's getting out-rebounded the way the Sixers did. Overall, in the game, Sixers were out-rebounded 56-40, and then 20-5 on the offensive glass. Second chance points killed the Sixers. James Harden's 6 turnovers killed the Sixers. As much as you want to talk about officiating, and I'm never the one to really bring that up a lot, but man, that last call of the game, was it crucial? Sure. But I look beyond that. James Harden, last night after the game, said of the foul call, hey, look, I don't know any other way to go up. And I agree with him. There's no other way for him to attack the rim in that regard, in that situation. But I hate the idea of him driving the lane, looking for a foul call as he so often does. But in this, he did go aggressive to the basket. It wasn't like he was just going for the call. He got off a decent shot, but wasn't able to make it because there was contact. But bottom line is, that play did not dictate the game. 6 turnovers from James Harden dictated the game. Joel Embiid, what was it, 6 for 25, 6 for 20, dictated the game. The Sixers not being able to get offensive rebound dictated the game. Sixers not being able to get out of whatever sleepwalk they were in the third quarter and the fourth quarter where they had 14 points. What? That doesn't make any sense. And it's the Toronto Raptors, and now you got right in the very next game, you got the Miami Heat coming to town. So I don't know, shots of Red Bull. I don't know what's going to happen with this, but the Sixers need something to wake them up because they were sleepwalking through the vast majority of that game last night. And yes, aimless is a good way to put it when you talk about Doc Rivers. Without any urgency is probably a better way to put it, to quote Doc Rivers from last night. But last night, it just seemed like there was nothing that was going to get the Sixers going. And it was another example of them starting out hot and then just leaking gas profusely as the game went on, especially when it comes down to how they played in the fourth quarter. And this was the Raptors. And this is a team that's supposed to be, the best team in the Eastern Conference now after the James Harden trade, according to morons like myself. Another thing James Harden talked about was more or less another learning experience. How many of them are you really going to need? Because James Harden's 6 turnovers isn't a result of not playing with Joel Embiid. It's a result of not being strong with the basketball. That's what it's a result of. And look, there's going to be nights. I would have liked it if Doc Rivers, forget about execution. Whenever a coach talks about execution, I always think of Chip Kelly. I honestly do. Because Chip talked about execution like, my game plan is perfect. It's not my fault. You guys aren't doing what I told you to do. And I always take exception to that because I'm always like, oh, so if you call a fake punt on every play, it's designed to work, but they didn't execute it right. No, it's a moronic play call, but they didn't execute it. Yeah. So that's what always jumps to mind. Doc Rivers last night talking about execution with his team. I was like, okay, Doc, that's great. So they weren't doing what you told them to do. So everything you did was just fine and dandy, but they couldn't do it on the court, is what you're saying. They said they tried many different things. You saw the bench. They actually used a lot of different guys off the bench last night. 2 of them scored. So there you go. Other than Niang, what were they, 1 for 2 from the floor? So he was trying different combinations out there on the floor, and nothing worked. And I think they just looked like a team that was gassed and a team that looked like they were looking ahead to playing the Heat and already looking past Pascal Siakam and the Toronto Raptors. And at this point in the season, when you're playing for playoff seeding, I think you can't take that risk of looking past anybody, especially when you're a team that apparently is still figuring things out when it comes to James Harden playing here in Philadelphia. So the way the Sixers have played over the last 4 or 5 games has been worrisome, and it doesn't get a lot easier with Miami coming to town tomorrow. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that they actually bounce back with a much better game tonight. I don't know how that happens. If they look as tired as they did, especially in the fourth quarter last night, I don't know how all of a sudden 24 hours later they get better. I don't know how that happens. You can take a Whirlpool, like I said, some Red Bull maybe. I don't know, crush some espresso. If you guys want to come over to my house, come on over, and we'll have some espresso together. But that Sixers team that played last night is not going to win tonight against the Heat. They need a much different attitude. They need something else. They need to realize that it is the Heat, the number 1 team in the conference, and maybe that will be enough for them to reach deep down inside them and pull out something that will make them actually get revved up for tonight's game. But I'll wait with bated breath for that to happen. I didn't like the Sixers last night, by the way. Going into the game, they were -8. I saw them at -8. And I wasn't crazy about Joel Embiid's over. I know I'd always said keep riding the over. Last night, if I did a show, say, before the game, I would have said careful with that over with Joel Embiid for that game because I just did not have a good feel. I felt like sooner or later they were going to hit a wall. Last night was that wall. I don't like them bouncing back against the Heat on a back-to-back. The only thing that we can look at with this is that it's not a back-to-back where they got to travel back home to play. So I guess there's that. Jordan Hall is going to be joining us in just 1 second. But before we talk to Jordan, I want to get into this conversation. I'm really amazed at the amount of people that are disappointed in the return the Flyers got for Claude Giroux. I was doing the scroll, and I'll get into this in the conversation with Jordan Hall, but I was doing the scroll and everything. I'm flipping around, and I see what the Flyers actually got back because I saw the announcement. Knew he was going to Florida, and we talked about it. Nasty Knuckles guys had it first. And so credit to Nasty and to Riley Cote. And I'm looking at it, and I'm going, they got a first-round pick? Oh, my God. For a 34-year-old player, they got a first-round pick. Now, it's going to take a couple years for that to actually hit. But I was shocked they got a first-round pick. If I'm Claude Giroux, I'm feeling pretty good. The fact that I was a 22 overall selection in 2007, and now you got a first-round pick 15 years later. That's pretty good. I didn't diminish in value. Like as my career went on, I stayed pretty much the same. Good for you. And a third, and a guy in Tippett who is a change of scenery guy. Didn't work out so well as a 10th overall pick in Florida. Maybe needs to change the scenery. We'll see how it works out here in Philadelphia. But when I saw a first, a third, and Tippett for Claude Giroux, I went, okay, I'll take that. I was very happy with the return. I don't know what people were expecting. I know that we love him. I know that he's been the best Flyer of the last 10 years and all that. But, like, I don't understand what people thought they were going to get in return. Were you thinking 2 first-round picks? Were you thinking a top 10 pick in the upcoming top prospects? Like, I didn't think anybody was going to give away top dollar for a guy that was very likely going to be a rental. And when I say rental, I mean, I do not at all rule it out of the realm of possibility. I would almost call it likely that Claude Giroux goes out, plays in Florida, hopefully wins a Stanley Cup. I wish him nothing but success, and then comes right back to Philadelphia. And there's a couple of things that make me think that. One is that he loves Philadelphia. Okay, that's the easy one. The other one is that Sean Couturier, who is the likely next captain, is not playing this year. I would doubt that they I would doubt that they name a captain for the rest of the season. So there would if he does come back, there's no taking the C off of Sean Couturier and then giving it back to Drew. So there's no awkwardness there. And then probably really the most, I guess, damning piece of evidence is the fact that Claude Giroux's list to leave Philadelphia, it wasn't like, get me the hell out of here. Oh, my God. Half the league. Get me out of here. No. It wasn't that at all. It was one team. It was like, all right, if I got to leave Philly, it's one team. Well, Claude, don't you really want to win a Stanley Cup? Don't you? What about Colorado? What about other teams that have a chance to win a Stanley Cup? Don't you want to go there? No, just Florida. If he was really chomping at the bit to get the hell out of town, don't you think that list would be a lot longer? So this could be, in all honesty, the definition of rental player. And I don't just mean like you're trading away to be a rental to another team and then he goes somewhere else. I mean like, yeah, we'll lease him to you for a minute and then he comes right back. That there would be no better example of a rental player in the NHL than that. There's a chance Claude Giroux plays with the first-round pick that they just acquired from the Florida Panthers for him. So I'm fine with what the Flyers got in return for Claude Giroux. Is it like, oh, yeah, start the parade up? No, of course not. But I didn't expect that. I saw people that I really like and covering hockey that said, oh, Flyers didn't get enough. What else were they going to get? Consider he had final say. Consider he presented the list, and the list was written on a ripped half Post-it note. Like, it was not a long list. And that's what you had to work with, and you still got a first-round pick in return? I am fine with that. I like it. Here's a piping hot take. I like the return they got for Claude Giroux. I was shocked that they even got a first-rounder for him. So anyway. That's what I got for you. Phillies. Let's get back to that lineup. Nick Castellanos hit 34 home runs, 370 on base percentage. Kyle Schwarber, 32 home runs, about a 370 on base percentage. I think the goal of John Middleton and Dave Dombrowski is to just have starting pitchers surrender. Just say, you know what? We're good. You guys, this is for you. We'll just get to the bullpen as soon as possible. I saw the news come across, and it was another example of staring at my phone going, this is too good to be true. Like I told you about Hassan Reddick, this is too good to be true. How did this happen? This has got to be a fake account, and it was not at all a fake account, and once it was reported, everybody picked it up, and everybody lost their damn minds. This is, for me, when I look at this lineup with the Phillies, with especially Harper and Schwarber and Nick Castellanos, who, by the way, Hispanic, not Greek, as I thought for many years. I was pronouncing the Castellanos, not right, Castellanos, just for a fun fact there. So when I looked at this lineup, I just thought this is like the Phillies assembling the four aces, except doing it with bats. And we've talked about the lineup already when they got Bryce Harper. We talked about the lineup about trying to be like 2008, where maybe you didn't have the best pitching staff outside of Cole Hamels. And Brett Myers even talked about that when he was on with us a couple of weeks ago, about how, we didn't have any pitching, right? But somehow we won the World Series. Well, yeah, they did it with their bats. They did it with a National League lineup that was out hitting top 3 American League teams with the designated hitter. That's how good their lineup was. So now you could really get back to that. If you thought you were already there with Hoskins and Real Muto, and thought you were already there with the lineup that you already had constructed in Harper, imagine now that you're adding 2 huge bats to this lineup. I'm going to say I am beyond thrilled for Phillies baseball and excited for it. The rest of Major League Baseball can go to hell, but just the Phillies, because I'm a huge Phillies fan, baseball can go to hell. I just want to say, because of the lockout, that I think Dave Dombrowski and I think John Middleton have done a hell of a job this offseason. And they got bullpen help. You can talk about veterans, sure. Knable. You can talk about Yaris Familia. You can talk about Brad Hand. And 2 of the 3 of those guys are kind of like, all right, let's take a flyer and see how they do. But Brad Hand is a guy that I think will come in here and be great in the bullpen. But everybody else, I'm going to be questioning. But when it comes to this lineup, yeah, hopefully by the time you get to the ninth inning, it's 10-5, and you're good to go. And you won't have to worry too much about that ninth inning. Or really, when you look at it like this, when you look at it like the back end of the bullpen, you look at it maybe get to the sixth inning, it's 10-3. You can feel a lot better about yourself. Let's hope that's the case. That's what I got for all you fine people when it comes to the Phillies. Just beyond excited for what they could do. I have yet to do the math, but I am excited to say I want to do the math on this. I would love to see the home runs per at bat for Schwarber, Harper, Hoskins last year, and Castellanos, because that's got to be something pretty incredible for four guys coming out of last season, coming into this one. What that could be for four guys in the same lineup. That's going to be pretty special. And then finally, I just want to tell you this. I showed you last week the clip of Jordan Mailata meeting Hassan Reddick, where he goes up to him and he goes, "You're a bleep, you know? Who do I run into over the weekend but Jordan Mailata?" And we saw each other across the street, and we locked eyes, smiled and waved, you know. And he was coming over, and I said, that was a real nice way to greet your new teammate, Hassan Reddick. And he started laughing. He knew exactly what I was talking about. And he basically looked at me like he beat me for a sack. What do you want from me? And I said, was how great was it to have him in the, what do you call it, in the weight room? And he was just like, I don't want to do his accent because I do a horrible Australian accent, but basically he was just like, no better way to greet a guy. Yeah, it was pretty terrible. But you get what I'm saying. He was like glowing, though. Like just bringing up this guy on defense that he no longer has to face anymore was just like nothing but excitement. Jordan Mailata is one of the nicest people you could ever come across, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you, speaking of nice people, let me tell you about Destination Retirement and my man Mike Seibert. How nice would it be to sit back and relax in retirement, huh? Well, you got to talk to Mike Seibert. Retirement income certified professional. He's a financial advisor for Eagles and Sixers fans only. His firm, Destination Retirement LLC, is a full-service planning firm and a partner of 1847 Financial. Mike helps clients with their accumulation years as well as their distribution years. Well, what's the difference? A lot. Have you figured out how much you'll need per month when you retire? How much of your retirement income would you like guaranteed no matter what? Do you want to protect any assets from downside market risk? And do you have a written plan? If you have questions, if you need answers, if you have assets of $250,000 or more, Mike will create a written plan to help offset your retirement expenses free of charge using software from Retirement Analyzer. He usually charges just under $2,000. So act now, ladies and gentlemen. Your plan will show you how to help offset your retirement expenses, what to do in a volatile market, and help minimize taxes. With over 30 years of experience, Mike is committed to helping Eagles and Sixers fans to and through retirement. You can reach Mike at 484-275-6035. That's 484-275-6035. Or visit destinationretirement.com. Click on Find Out at the top of the page and fill out the questionnaire to see how prepared you are for retirement and to sign up for his newsletter. He'll get back to you and talk about how he can help. As always, go Birds. And last night, wish they could play the song. Let me tell you about Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right on Jewelers Row in Philadelphia. Check out my man Steven Singer, over 40 years in the love business of Philadelphia, helping people fall in love and helping people get engaged. Steven's been doing it, like I said, for 40 years in the love business in our city. If you are looking to get engaged, he has Ready for Love diamond engagement rings standing by at the ready. He's got just for the perfect gift any time of year, beautiful diamond stud earrings, beautiful diamond necklaces, beautiful tennis bracelets. Oh, Steven Singer. Steven Singer Jewelers has it all. Go to IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com, where you're always going to get the perfect price every single day. When you go into Steven Singer, you don't have to worry about a discount, a promo code, or anything like that. You're getting taken care of every day because every day is the sale. Other jewelers like to say, I hate Steven Singer, because he doesn't mark things way up just to mark it down a couple of $100 in front of you and make you feel like, oh, because I'm a great negotiator. No, there's no pressure. There's no haggling. No negotiating. You walk in, you know you're going to get taken care of every single time with the perfect price. And people say, oh, the perfect price. Come on, how good can that be? 40 years, folks, taking care of people. Excellent track record in the city of brotherly love, with Steven showing you the love at the other corner of 8th and Walnut. So do what I do. Trust Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. One place, one price, the perfect price every single day. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's jump on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line. We're going to talk to a guy who is just a phenomenal human being. Really is one of the. They talk about Jordan Mailata being a nice guy. This Jordan's a hell of a nice guy. Jordan Hall joins us from NBC Sports Philadelphia. On the Rothman Orthopedics guest line, just clearly one of my favorite people to ever talk to in the history of Philadelphia. Okay, so there's like Ray Didinger, and then there's Jordan Hall. Those are the writers that I give a damn about. And this is my man, Jordan Hall from NBC Sports Philadelphia. Pucks Hall, as we used to call him back at NBC. What's going on there, Jordan?
Mark, not much. I don't know if I should be in the category of Ray Didinger, but I really appreciate the kind words, and it's always great to see you.
Is that what I said? I always black out. I'm so happy to see you. Whenever I start talking to you, I just black out. I don't know what I said. If that's what I said, it's probably true. No. Jordan, it is great to see you, man. It's great to have you on again, another time on the show here. I'm going to start out I'm going to lay it out for you how I've laid it out for my audience.
Okay.
I like and am pleasantly surprised by what the Flyers got back from Claude Giroux in that trade. And I'll get into the idea of a rental in a second. But what did you make of what they got back? What, a first and a third, or first round pick, third round pick, and the Tippett character in between? What did you make of the return for Claude Giroux?
I think at first, Mark, everyone is seeing Claude Giroux leave, and they're thinking the Flyers should be getting a king's ransom. And they have the right to feel that way. They do. It's Claude Giroux. It's an all-time great Flyer. He's been here 15 years. He's beloved. So you want a great deal in return. And I think the fact is he is 34 years old. He is viewed as a rental because he will be an unrestricted free agent. And he had a no-move clause. So he really has a lot of say in where he goes. He has earned that. And when I saw the details, at first I was, not sure they got enough. But then I really started to comprehend it and understood where the Flyers were. And those are not easy circumstances. No move clause, 34 years old, and he's a rental. So I think the Flyers knew where Claude Giroux wanted to go. They made the best of it. The fact that they got a first-round pick, I think, is actually pretty good. It's in 2024. The Panthers didn't have a first-round pick in 2022, 23. So they got a first. They got a decent player. And Claude Giroux will get his chance at the Cup. So I thought both sides did right by each other. It was professional. And I think that's all you can really ask for. But it is not easy to see Claude Giroux go, and you're expecting a great deal. And then when you see it, you need to understand the circumstances. And I think the Flyers did okay.
Okay, so I was shocked that they got a first-round pick for all the reasons that you had already laid out there. Like, I thought me thinking they could get a first-round pick a week ago was, I'm just being a homer. It's because I love Claude Giroux and all the things that you said about, how he played here for so long. He was the captain and all that. But when I saw it, I was, doing the scroll, and I'm seeing it, first round. I go, first-round pick. And then I, obviously see it's the Panthers, confirmed. And then I see also the third, and then a player that was a top 10 overall pick just, 5 years ago, and the change of scenery argument could be implemented for him as the reason to be optimistic about what he could do here in Philadelphia. And then just factor this in as well. The fact that Claude Giroux was a 23rd overall pick. How long ago? And now he's being traded for essentially a guy that was taken 10th overall 5 years ago and a pick that could be selected around the same time he was selected 15 some odd years ago. That's insane to me.
I agree. And kudos to Claude Giroux for getting better with age. He's like a fine wine. Honestly, right. He has gotten better in his 30s, genuinely, and he wanted a first-round pick in return. I mean, there's a lot of players that hit 34, 35, and they start to really taper off. He hasn't. He's been really effective. He plays in all situations, and he's a guy that's incredibly hungry to win. I thought any contending team would love a Claude Giroux, and I think the Panthers realized he was worth a first-round pick, even though it's coming in 2024. The Flyers felt like they were getting a decent return there, and you get a young player, and you also unload a couple of contracts, Mark, in that deal, and it may not seem like a big deal, but they do now have fewer contracts. It does allow them to sign some college free agents, kids that they drafted that are playing at the collegiate level and aren't signed yet. And then maybe also it allows them to go out and sign a college kid or a prospect that doesn't have any rights to an organization. So they were also able to unload a couple of contracts, which I think was important. So yeah, the fact that they got a first, I think, is huge. That was the biggest thing. I felt like it would have been tough to stomach Claude Giroux going elsewhere without getting a first. They got one and a player to boot. So at the end of the day, I thought it was a good deal for both sides.
I agree. And I wasn't expecting, like you said earlier, the King's ransom. That never entered my brain because he was so old. And the fact that, as you said, rental. How much of a rental is this? Because I think there's a legit chance that Claude Giroux is just right back, like goes down to Florida, gets a tan, and then comes back to Philadelphia, for next year. How likely, how possible is that?
Mark, I will say, I'm excited to hear that you think that. For me, I personally thought Thursday night, his 1000th game, felt kind of like a goodbye for good.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Somewhat a gut feel kind of makes me think that, like, as emotional as it was, that was him parting ways with Philadelphia for good. Or maybe deep down he doesn't know, but I think he is excited to eventually hit unrestricted free agency and really have his pick of the land. I mean, just about any team probably should be interested in a Claude Giroux, and he hasn't had the chance to do this in a while. So I do think deep down he's excited to maybe see where he could go, survey his options, see what's best for his family. But me personally, I do feel like it may be goodbye for good. I feel like there will be somewhat of an awkwardness if he came back. Just like he's such a Mark, you know him really well. He's so much of a don't look at me, I don't like attention kind of guy. And I wonder if he felt like there was so much love placed on him in that goodbye that maybe he would feel a little weird coming back. But I don't know for sure. That's just a gut feel. But right. I do think this situation right now is purely a rental. Florida is getting him for a month plus and a playoff run. Mm-hmm. And then after that, maybe Florida wins it all and Claude really likes it there and they re-sign him. That would probably help him wanting to go back there is, winning a cup and feeling like he should stay there and try to do it again. But yeah, this is very much a rental for a 34-year-old player. So again, I think that's why the Flyers were very realistic about this trade, especially given Claude Giroux really had the keys.
Mm-hmm. Certainly. What can you tell me about Owen Tippett? Is this a guy, like I said earlier, a change of scenery could help him and really achieve his potential, or is this a guy that was more or less a throw-in? What do you have in Owen Tippett?
I think the Flyers liked him. I don't think they probably loved him. It wasn't like the top prospect probably on their list. I don't think they probably loved him for a while, but he was a 10th overall pick in 2017, a power forward type. Those guys tend to jump into your lineup and play well because they play a physical, go to the net type of style. If you put him with a good center, they can really get in there right away and be effective. He has NHL experience, 94 games going into his debut on Sunday with the Flyers and looked pretty good. So yeah, a power forward type that can maybe score 20 goals eventually at some point in his career. So I don't think the Flyers feel 100% that they're going to hit on this kid and he's going to make this deal a major victory, but there's a lot of upside and he does get a chance at a change of scenery. It's not like he did poorly in Florida, but Florida is deep. They are very deep. They're ready to win a cup. And it seems like he couldn't quite carve out his role there. Here he comes to a team that's full on selling and remaking and looking for youth, looking for guys to step in and kind of take the bull by the horns. And he'll have a chance to do it. They're going to play him. He's going to get a long look here. And hopefully the pressure's not too big on him. You feel bad when a younger kid, like a 23-year-old, is attached to the Claude Giroux trade. Hopefully that's not too much pressure on him. He can just kind of come in here and be himself.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to Claude Giroux and his career in Philadelphia, one of the things that people always look back on is he didn't win the cup, which is obvious and warranted, and they didn't get out there to the second round of the playoffs. When it comes to Claude Giroux, why do you think in his captaincy, not in his total time here in Philadelphia, but just in his captaincy, why do you think this Flyers team wasn't as successful?
Mark, it's a shame, but I just don't think he had enough help. And I just thought they were somewhat stagnant during his prime years. They kept drafting and developing, and that's fine and well, but sometimes kids take time to really be cornerstones and support a player in his 30s in his prime. And Mark, I always go back to 2017-18 when he had 102 points. He was magnificent. He set career highs across the board at 30 years old. Mark, they got into the playoffs on the very last day of the regular season. Claude Giroux had to score a hat trick to get them in. It's just a guy that at 30 years old putting up 102 points, he should have had more help. Imagine if he had more help on that team and what kind of points he would have put up. Mm-hmm. I just don't think they ever really fully supported him. He had good players, but I don't know if they had game-changing players. If you look at some of the great players, Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin, guys that finally got over the hump or have been over the hump multiple times with a cup to their name. They have really good sidekicks, really good players. And I just don't – it's not a knock on some of the guys that were here, but I don't think they were ever deep enough. And I don't think they ever really went for it in Claude Giroux's prime of his 30s, late 20s. And I think that's why they never really got deep in the playoffs at all. I mean, over the last 10 years of Claude Giroux's 10 years of Claude Giroux's tenure in Philly, one playoff series victory, Mark. One. That's just – and that came when they kind of had an overhaul with the front office and Alain Vigneault's first year, Chuck Fletcher. That was the year that in the last 10 years, Claude got past the first round of the playoffs. I just don't think he got enough help. It's a shame because I thought he was a all-time great player that really fit this city. And it's a shame he never won.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I with all the talk about the Sixers and what they were going to do with Ben Simmons and then finally getting James Harden, you constantly heard the phrase, don't waste Joel Embiid's prime. And I feel like, and now I think Joel Embiid I'll get this out of the way. Joel Embiid is a better basketball player, I think, than Claude Giroux is hockey players, especially overall importance to the league. But I still feel like in the prime of his career, the Flyers organization, it almost went through 3 or 4 different rebuilds while he was the captain, it felt like.
That's so true. They kind of slowly build it. And that's fine if you want to rebuild and start from scratch, tear it down, but you were not in a tear down mode. You had a Claude Giroux, you had a captain going into his 30s, hitting his peak, and it just never got to that next year. I remember one of the biggest signings I think they really had during Claude Giroux's prime was James Van Riemsdyk, and it probably came a little bit too late, and boom, James Van Riemsdyk's first season, Dave Haxtell's fired, Ron Hextall's fired, and they're kind of reshaping it again. It just never really – the whole beautiful plan of drafting and developing and building from within, but also never tearing it down, like it never came and met perfectly. It's tough to do that. It's tough to want to compete every single year, but also draft and develop and never really make trades and take on maybe a player with a lot of term and money to him, but a player that's a game changer for 2 years. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you got to balance get him now and maximize a year or two and then bite the bullet down the road. And they never quite did that, Mark.
Last thing for you, long term, who's the captain of the Flyers?
Great question. It's funny. Someone was asking me, do I think they'll name a captain this year? They definitely won't. Sean Couturier is out for the rest of the season. Scott Lawton is a guy that is starting to grow into a leader. He had an A on his jersey before he got a concussion not long ago, so he's out for a little bit. I don't think they're going to make like a loud move like that this season, but Mark, I think it will be Sean Couturier. His new deal will kick in next year. He's going to be healthy. If you cross your fingers, he should be back from that back surgery. And I think he was kind of the captain in waiting. He played under Claude Giroux for a long time. He's a lead by example guy. I think he fits the Flyers mold. So, Mark, my prediction is Sean Couturier. I'm eager to hear yours.
Oh, it's Coots. It's okay. Coots. But I'll go to the next level. Here's where I think it goes. Sean Couturier is your next captain. Danny Briere is your next general manager when he takes over for Chuck Fletcher, whenever that day comes. And then Danny Briere will be the GM of a team captained by Coots. The connection there is not just that they were teammates, but of course, Sean Couturier lived with Danny Briere when Sean Couturier was first drafted in the NHL. Danny Briere and his sons, and I remember seeing the videos of them playing Xbox together. Like that. That's just going to be a funny world to live in, man, with those guys essentially running the Flyers. You know what I'm saying?
That is an awesome connection. And real quick, if I can, why do you think Claude Giroux could be back next year? What gives you that feel?
It's nothing that he and I have talked about. I just feel like he really loves the city of Philadelphia. I feel like he loves being here. I feel like he's going to look at it as a one-time opportunity to go try and win a cup somewhere else and then possibly come back here on a lesser deal. That's what I think. That's my prediction right now. Obviously, the allure, like you said, it's a totally valid argument, and you may be right. I don't know that I'm right. I'm spitballing here. But when it comes to what he could do in the future, I think ultimately he will want to come back to Philadelphia, especially if Philly does enough in the next couple of years to warrant maybe a championship run. And I think some people, here's another argument. How close are the Flyers to turning it around? Are they just a couple of healthy guys, or are they major acquisitions away? And is one of those acquisitions the reacquisition of Claude Giroux himself?
Yeah, and I think that's what's crazy about it is that the Flyers, I think, would have to be god-awful for Claude Giroux to be traded and to really want to get away from here. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened. Like, I thought they could have been on the brink of the race. They could have been around it. and they would have kept Claude Giroux, and they would have said, "Hey, we're not ready to part ways. We feel like we have a shot, and we'll reconvene later at the end of the year." But they happened to be one of the worst 5 teams in the league, and just everything went wrong, and it was the perfect storm, and it led to Giroux, 15-year player, 15-year Flyer, great guy, great player, coming to an end here in Philadelphia. It's hard to believe.
It is kind of part of it, though, in terms of what you said about him wanting to eventually get out of here. It was like, okay, there was a list of teams he wanted to go on or leave and go to, and apparently it was a list of like one team. So it's like he wasn't like, all right, here's my list, half the league. You know what I'm saying? Like, I choose 15 other teams before I choose the Flyers again. The fact that it was so small, the fact that it was a list of one, which isn't even a list, it's just an index card. Basically, here's the team. So it's like a 3-letter text message, FLA. But so like that's another reason why I would say he would come back to Philadelphia before he goes somewhere else, especially if he ends up winning the cup in Florida. But hey, here's hoping Claude eventually comes back. Ooh, how awkward! And then Cooch is the captain. I'm kidding. But that'll be a whole other thing. Jordan Hall, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys don't read him, are you even Flyers fans? Check out Jordan Hall, NBC Sports Philadelphia, obviously. Check him out. Give him a follow, obviously, on Twitter if you guys want to stay abreast of all the hockey situations in Philadelphia. Old Jordan Pucks Hall. Jordan, great catching up with you, man. Thanks so much.
Mark, thanks so much. Great seeing you. Great chatting with you. I appreciate having me on.
Always a pleasure, my friend. Jordan Hall joining us on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line. My thanks to Jordan Hall for joining us. Great catching up with Jordan. Yes, I actually did reach out to Claude to come on the show. A little busy, so he declined. But I told you guys before that I've hosted some charity events with him and got to know him a little bit. And great guy. And the charity events that he's put on in the city have been phenomenal. And in a very similar vein to Zach Ertz and Julie Ertz and obviously Lisa Ertz, Zachary's mom, as I always get a kick out of. She's always like, oh, and Zachary. But anyway, we know what we're losing on the ice in this example. We know what we're losing on the surface of play, like we did with Zach. But when it comes to a citizen of Philadelphia, when it comes to trying to help out in the community, Claude will be missed in that regard greatly. And when doing those events, you get to see the guy as the human, which is still a rarity. Even if I get to talk to a guy in a locker room, for instance, or a dressing room, whatever it might be, when it comes to instances like that, they're still the athlete version of themselves, trying to say the right things, not trying to throw anybody under the bus, the proverbial bus, that whole cliche. But out in the open, I'll tell you a quick story about Claude Giroux. And this told me a lot about the guy. I was hosting this event a couple of years ago, and very formal event, very nice for the Claude Giroux Foundation. And there was a younger man. I would say he was about 20 or 21. And he came over it was me, Claude, and one of the lead sponsors of the event. And this kid came over, and I'm going to tell you right now, massive BO with a side of bad breath. And nice kid, young gentleman, I'll say, smelled horrible. And I don't know what this person was talking about, but just interjected into the conversation. And Claude did not blow this guy off. I'm thinking I got to get the hell away from this guy because it's the smell is atrocious. And Claude just stood there, answered this guy's Flyers questions. The guy was rambling. I don't know if he was the younger gentleman. I'll say he was 21. Let's say he was 21. And he was just rambling and smelled horrific. And I don't know what the guy was doing there, to be honest with you. But Claude just stood there and talked to this guy. I'm not kidding you, for 10 minutes. And I felt like I couldn't abandon. I felt like I couldn't be like, hey, Claude, all right, see you later. I stayed there. I was like, I got to be a wingman here. And I at one point, I tried to interject and be like, hey, Claude, they need you over at guest services. I don't know. But he just stood there and talked to this guy about nothing, smiled and nodded, was extremely polite. And then finally, he literally got called away by somebody else, like up to the stage. And I went up with him, and I'm walking towards the stage, and I was like, well, that was an experience. And he was like, he's a nice guy. Like it was like, it didn't even faze him. And I was like, God bless these Canadians. Just like anything that happens, they're just great foxhole people. And he could not have been kinder. And then there were other instances without the smell, but similar, where he was just unbelievably gracious with his time with his fans. And I remember the only time I've ever like jumped to defend an athlete, not for anything they did on the ice, because that's totally different. When it comes to fans trying to get autographs from players, one time I jumped to the defense of any athlete was a fan called into the radio station I was working at the time to rip Claude Giroux for like not signing an autograph. And he talked about it. He set the scene for us where it was a public place and Claude was walking somewhere and he couldn't sign an autograph. And this guy was like, this jerk, Claude Giroux, didn't sign my kid's autograph. And I'm like, well, what was the situation? You never know what somebody else is doing. Like I always, like 9 times out of 10 will side with fans. But when it comes to a situation like that, and a guy that I have seen be extremely generous with his time with fans, I felt like it was unfair. So I tried to do what was right in that situation. But for him to sit there and talk to this guy, and for him to do that with so many other people that just wanted a moment with him, he gave like Claude was the type of guy at these events that was in the realm of the fan was always like they were done talking before Claude was done talking. Like, okay, Claude, I got to go. Like it was like one of those situations. I referenced his name earlier in the Jordan Hall interview, but Ray Didinger is very similar to that. Where if you start a conversation with Ray Didinger, you better have time on your hand because that man, there is no short sentences. There are no sentence fragments with Ray Didinger. He's the kindest, warmest gentleman you'll ever come across. And I think it's probably the only time you'll ever hear Giroux compared to Ray Didinger. But in terms of how they approach their fan base, I guess it's a very similar thing where they got time for you, man, because they know the deal. They know the deal. So appreciate Jordan Hall coming on and talking to us there. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, about the great people at Rothman Orthopedics. When you have an orthopedic issue, you need a physician who eats, sleeps, and breathes orthopedics. You need an exceptionally specialized Rothman Orthopedics physician. They not only specialize in orthopedics, but each of their physicians only focuses in on one area of the body, which means you can have the confidence to get past the pain and be what you were. Learn more at RothmanOrtho.com. That's RothmanOrtho.com. Rothman Orthopedics, the official orthopedic partner of your Phillies, Eagles, and Sixers. Let me tell you about WinView. WinView is the only game where fans can take on other fans and end the debate once and for all. Who is the biggest sports fan? You have those friends and family members who think they know everything about sports. Challenge them to a WinView contest and see if they can walk the walk as well as they talk the talk. So do what I do. Challenge to WinView contest. It's not a sports book. It's not daily fantasy. It's a social gaming app where fans can win real money prizes for making predictions on the games that they love so much. So download the WinView app right now. How about the amazing people, ladies and gentlemen, of PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs, phlsportsnation.com. All right, let's get into the chat check, everyone's favorite part of the show. Good morning, Dan Schwartz. Good morning, John Cheeseborough. Good morning, Kevin. Good morning, Mullet. What's up, Mullet? Ooh, ocean blue long sleeve button up. Excellent choice, Mark. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Dan Schwartz. This is my favorite shirt. Of all the blue shirts I have, this blue shirt is my favorite. I feel like it matches the Farzy show blue as well as I got. Maybe I'll send away for an authentic thing. Didn't think the Buck Cousins really gave a buck at all. Oh, Daniel, yes! From the top rope. But John Cheeseborough, I love the Castellanos signing, the Schwarber signing together. My original preference was Bryant, as was mine, because of all the defensive things that he figured out or could do. But yeah, John, I'm with you. Like, if you would have told me you're not getting Chris Bryant, but you're getting Castellanos and Schwarber, I'd be like, hell yeah. Yes, please, and thank you. Dan Schwartz right there. Bryant would have brought defense. You're absolutely right. April, good morning. April, Alyssa, good morning. Mullet, Harden disrespecting Doc on the sideline, not a good look. Here's what I've learned from James Harden, now getting the view of him being our guy. He'll say anything to anybody. He doesn't give a damn. Like, he yelled at Matisse Thybulle the other. I mean, yelled is strong. He called out, questioned and with great aggression. I don't know. Tyrese Maxey the other night, who was clearly, I referenced this on the show, was clearly out of bounds under the basket, and James Harden threw him the ball. If you've been in the league as long as James Harden has, if you've been an MVP, if you've been a point guard, and you're a guy that averaged double digits assist, and you don't know that a guy is that deep on the baseline that he's out of bounds and you still throw him the ball? Then you look at him like, what the hell are you doing? Yeah, but then it's on you, man. He'll call on anybody. If he'll stand there and be what looked like, but wasn't, as it was later explained, what looked like being ignored by Danny Green, and he'll stand there with his hands up going, what is that? Why don't you pass me the ball? If he'll do that on the court, there's nothing, like, he'll do it with anybody. Doc Rivers is no exception. So, yes, those two having a conversation on the sideline or whatever you want to say is definitely interesting, but not unexpected. Certainly not surprising after the first couple of games we've seen with James Harden here in Philadelphia. So, yeah, I do agree with that, Mullet. John Cheesebro, Farzy, I agree. Flagrant foul is intent to injure. Now hard fouls are getting called as flagrants, and that's the issue. I hate that. Like, I have to change how I was brought up and how we were all brought up and raised in the game of basketball. And I flagrant foul. Somebody was almost murdered. That's a flagrant foul. Or what they just did led to 5 other people fighting. That's a flagrant foul. Now it's like, well, was it unnecessary contact? Ridiculous. Jim, what's up, Jim? Good morning. Dan, hello again. I thought pride injury was a flagrant too. I'll put this back up for the good people. Flagrant 1 penalty. Unnecessary contact. This is what Harden got called for last night. Unnecessary contact committed by a player against an opponent. So Harden on Boucher in this instance last night. Then a flagrant 2, unnecessary and excessive contact committed by a player. See, that used to just be a flagrant. Flagrant 1, I don't like. Even a little bit. Don't like it. But gosh darn ridiculous. Whole 5 points from Tobias Harris, the friendly ghost. Wow. Jim. Ooh, Tobias Harris being Casper, the friendly ghost. That's pretty damn good. That's pretty damn good. It's gotten to the point with me where if I don't see Tobias Harris show up in the stat sheet, like points wise, I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's about right. And last night, it's like Tobias Harris, if he doesn't hit his first shot or his first couple shots, like if he doesn't go at least 1 for 3 to start the game, I feel like lost. I feel like all is lost with the world. He started out from 3-point range last night, 0 for 3. I think he ended 0 for 4. But it's like if he doesn't hit his first couple of shots, he's done for the night. Like, that's it. You either get him going early or just be ready for some strong defense and some rebounding occasionally. That's the way I feel like Tobias Harris's nights go too often. We need a Farzy ruling. Is pride injury flagrant 1 or flagrant 2? Now it's flagrant 1. Classic Duck Rivers. Please tell me that's not a typo. Duck Rivers. Okay, good. Duck Rivers, according to John Cheeseborough. Classic Duck Rivers. I know what I said. Builds what looks like a nice lead, and then it's gone by the second quarter. Duck Rivers. I like that, John. I don't like him calling out the execution. Like, everything I did was great, but what you guys did was terrible. Just come out and say you missed shots. Just come out and say you couldn't get offensive boards. That's what happened in the game last night. If Joel Embiid or James Harden even hits a couple threes for you, it's a different story. If James Harden hits his free throws with 2.5 minutes left in the game, it's a different story. Execution, my ass. How about that? That really made a good point. The rebounding is and has been atrocious. John, you're correct. Jim meter, grass meter. I don't know. Jim. Tobias Harris is now Casper. That's the way we're gonna go with this. Mally, I don't know what you're saying there. That Beijing is a little darker on Doc's head this week, huh? I don't know. Mally, Sixers not able to get rebounds, period. Good point. Alyssa, our Sixers correspondent. I'm not ready for tonight's game. I am like, I don't go into games scared or anything like that, but I'm not feeling it tonight. Like, I'm going to watch every second, obviously, but I'm not feeling great about the Sixers tonight. Like, that performance last night, lack of aggression, sleepwalking through on a back-to-back. Like, I don't see you getting better the second night of a back-to-back with the Sixers. Sixers go into this one only 2-point underdogs. 1.5 is the Miami. Miami is minus 1.5 favorites. Or just 1.5 favorites. You got to have a bench to actually put down different combinations. You're absolutely right, Mally. They did not have a different bench last night. Here's the guys that actually played in the game. Danny Green, George Niang, Paul Reed, DeAndre Jordan, Shake Milton. Yeah. Okay. What is this? 5 for 12 from the floor? 3 for 8 from beyond the arc? Yeah, that ain't great. That ain't great. Danny Green, what is it you say you do here? Exactly. 3 games over here. John, having trust guys on to build a team. Korkmaz. Remember him? R.I.P. Furkan Korkmaz. Dan Schwartz, laugh out loud. Duck. I don't know if that was said purposely, but I definitely refer to him as Doc Rivers going forward. How do you not? Why are Joe and Reed just there? It's like the games have been decided and Duck needs to empty the bench. She has to put them in the game and give them some actual minutes. Duck Rivers, beautiful. Oh, by the way, there was some people didn't like the play call with Doc Rivers at the end of the game, and I'm on the same same thing as everybody. When it's 7 seconds left on the clock and you're inbounding the ball at your own basket and you're down, it's like, all right, Doc Rivers, what are you drawing up for us? And apparently, what he drawed up was dribble penetration, James Harden, ISO. And it did not work. But he put the ball in the hands of one of his best players. In that situation, 7 seconds left, even with the way Joel Embiid was playing, I still like him getting the ball as close to the basket as possible with a kick-out option. That's what I would like to see. And that was not what was drawn up last night. Instead, I thought the play was designed for James Harden to do what he normally does, which was draw a foul. And in this situation, it went against him. I don't like putting things in the referee's hands because you never know how it's going to go. I'd rather put the ball in my best player's hands, which is still Joel Embiid. And with that amount of time, Joel Embiid can still create his own shot. And if it's not there, he can have enough time to kick it out to James Harden. So, or a shooter in that guy. Maxey was hitting the shots last night. Thibault defensively and Maxey offensively were the guys that I thought brought it last night. Watching a softball. Oh, Ray, what's up? Ray says it's going to be like softball. Phillies going to be sluggers, no fielding. That's a good point. Beer league softball in particular. Let's see. Ray, good morning. Oh, we have a debate about Clentak? Yeah, listen, I would say Matisse Thybulle was present last night. He had a stat last night that was good for. What was his? He did something last. Oh, he hit 2 threes. That's great. 12 points for him. 4 blocks. 4 blocks for Matisse Thybulle last night. So, yeah, I'm in favor of him. Luigi, what's up? Luigi saying he'll miss Giroux. Jim says, Jim Grassbetter says, please don't come back, Claude. Thank you for 15 years, but it's time for the Flyers to move on. John Cheeseborough says, I'm not a hockey man, but it always seems like the Flyers are obsessed with bringing back former players. Yeah, well, that could happen again, and you're not wrong. Ooh. Jim says Fletcher, as in Chuck Fletcher, not Fletcher Cox. Chuck Fletcher better make several deals today to get rid of the dead wood. Yeah. Think about the players trailing off. And then I think, Alyssa's saying she thinks about players trailing off towards the end of the careers, and then she thinks of Ovi. Alexander Ovechkin's a machine. It's the only way to describe it. Pretty sure it was Jordan Hall who made the most epic move ever on a girl on camera. I could be wrong, but pretty sure I'm not. No, that's... Hold on, do I still have it? I do. His profile picture on Twitter, his avatar, I'm pretty sure is in the words of Brian Regan, I see ya, but I got nothing to say to you. When he did this to Taryn Hatcher, when he had the mic out, and he was like, that's the elevator face. He did elevator face to Taryn Hatcher. Taryn had just come to NBC. I was still working there at the time. That happened. And we all lost our minds with how hilarious it was. Because we knew how it looked, but we knew there was no, Taryn wasn't blowing them off. She was in work mode. And those guys are friends. Those guys are totally cool. And they've embraced it. They find it to be hilarious. which is why, again, this is the avatar that Jordan chose. So Jim, yes, you are correct. That is the Taryn Hatcher who's making the face at. I thought Lawton would be surprising. I know the Flyers love the way that he plays. They love the way that Furcon. Jeez Louise, reading Furcon, thinking Lawton. They love the way Lawton plays, but I don't think he's captain material. I think if it's anybody, it's going to be Coots next year. Falconator, kind of surprising how bad Doc is with rotations. He had one of the most effective benches in Los Angeles. Yeah, it goes without saying. Oh, no, it goes without saying, but yeah, it's pretty wild. Bring back Eddie Jordan. Wow. John. Wow. I'll never forget Ed Snyder. I was in the update booth. I'll never forget Ed Snyder calling in the WIP when they had just hired Eddie Jordan to say, this is when they still own the team. Wow. This is Ed Snyder owning the Sixers. Eddie Jordan is a coach. I've seen a lot of coach. This guy is a coach. He can coach. Princeton offense with no point guard. Princeton offense, deferring to all these different ball handlers that weren't good ball handlers. Eddie Jordan was terrible. That was his last head coaching job in the NBA. He went to Rutgers, I think, to coach for a while. Duck Rivers is great. Craig applauds the Duck Rivers. Hannah, what's up, Hannah? Eddie Jordan, blast from the past. You're damn right. Thibault, 10 points first quarter, 2 the rest of the game. I'm not, Mullet, you're not wrong, obviously. Those are facts. But I don't look for offense from Thibault. I'm looking for defense mostly. Jim, Eddie Jordan's still better than DeAndre Jordan. Yeah. Oh, James says, how could you not want him back? How does he hurt the team? Just in terms of Jim, I think, James, the idea is to move on. That era didn't work. Got to reset the whole thing. I am not in that thought process because, as I said before, I don't think Claude Giroux was the problem on this team. And I think in a lot of ways, the Flyers, as I said with Jordan, went through so many different rebuilds with him here. They were never fully committed to winning under his captaincy. And that, to me, is what ultimately cost the Flyers 10 years of being legit cup contenders. And they just didn't know what the hell they were doing. They couldn't get on the same page. Eddie Jordan will always be the best Jordan in Philly. Brian Jordan played here for a minute in baseball. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are fantastic, as per usual. So I think here's what we got. Here's my takeaway from today's chat. Bring back Eddie Jordan. Of all the names, if people threw out 100 names and said, this name's going to be brought up, Eddie Jordan's name would have been the last one I would have thought to be brought up on the show today. Bring back Eddie Jordan. Tobias Harris is now Casper the Friendly Ghost, who just, you can't find him. And it's now Duck Rivers. So there we go. Hashtag Duck Rivers. From now on, people, when we're criticizing Doc Rivers on Twitter, hashtag Duck Rivers. That's what we're doing. Sixers should bring back Eddie Jordan. Kyle, welcome to the party, pal. Eyebrow raise for the pink shorts. Farzy show, brang it. Mullet, I had no idea what you were talking about until it just dawned on me that you were talking about Taryn Hatcher's pink shorts that she showed us because she was wearing pink shorts when she was on the show. She's like, "Look, I'm relaxed. I got my pink shorts on." She had her pink shorts on. So there we go. Great Farzy moment for some of you. Great Farzy show moment. Thanks everybody in the chat. You guys are fantastic. We have a very special morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. First and foremost, 76ers back on the hardwood tonight against the Miami Heat, 7:30 tip-off. You don't want to miss that one. Flyers trade deadline is today. Claude Giroux has already been moved, obviously, so we'll see what other moves the Flyers have in store. Flyers drop the puck tomorrow night in Detroit against the Red Wings at 7:30. So make sure you guys check that out. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an important announcement, and I don't want to brag or anything, but this show has hit 1,000 TikTok followers. For those that don't know, yes, we're on TikTok. Yes, I feel like I am way too old to be on TikTok. I'm not even 40 yet, but I feel like it's still way too old to be on TikTok. So I told you guys if I was going to be on TikTok and we got to 1,000, I would do a TikTok challenge video. I don't know, kids. I don't know what you people call it. But as an attempt to fit in with the youth, I am going to do the worst thing I've ever done on this show, which is a TikTok-specific bit to thank you for the 1,000 people that have followed the Farzy show on TikTok. So without further ado, I'm going to just hold on. I want to blind the screen for a second so people don't see what's happening. Here is, hold on, there we go. All right, here's the flagrant foul rules. Here we go. This is for TikTok only. Ready? Oh, damn it, I missed it. All right, here we go. Ready? Here, I got this right. Yeah, I think it's all right. I'm not going to waste the apple. That's a good apple. When I tell you guys that I was practicing that, for the people on the podcast in particular that are only hearing me eat an apple, I am sorry. Nothing's better on a podcast than somebody eating. April, wow, that was something. Mullet, nice apple. Julian, oh no. Mullet, thank you, TikTok. Jim, nice Farzy. April, are you gonna dance now? No, I'm not gonna dance. James Taylor, no wonder TikTok is ruining children. Kyle, my eyes. I'm gonna finish that apple because I don't waste food. Anyway, Jim, that poor apple. Is that video game going to make it to TikTok? Or is that video going to make it to TikTok? Yeah, why would it? That's a TikTok specific video. You guys want to see it again? No, I didn't think so. Anyway, thanks to everybody. Pink Lady Apple? What? If anyone knows the name of that challenge, I'd love to know what it is. Still better than the Kornheiser penguin dance? That's funny. Is that a Fuji apple? I don't even know what kind of apple it is. Hold on, Falconator. Scared me for a second. It looked like you were trying to smoke something out of that apple. Now, that would be more on brand for the chat, was to accuse me of making this apple into a bong. Not that I know you could do that. Mullet, TikTok video. Must not be I must not understand TikTok. Julian, I don't understand TikTok either. I just know that the show's on it, and I know that me talking about Ben Simmons dunking a basketball in pregame warmups got 50,000 views. I don't know. I'll eat an apple for 50,000 views. Honey Crisp or bust. I think this is a Honey Crisp. Now that you mentioned T-Bro, I think this is a Honey Crisp. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to present to you tomorrow. I'm going to present to you my official Phillies lineup with Nick Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber, and obviously Bryce Harper. And the fact that the Phillies are over the luxury tax is something I never thought I would see. In my lifetime now, I've watched the Phillies win a World Series. I've watched the Eagles win a Super Bowl. And I've seen the Phillies go over to luxury tax. I did not think I'd ever see any of those things ever happen. Especially the last one, the luxury tax. And here we are. And I never thought I'd be on a thing called TikTok eating an apple suspended by a fork coming out of my mouth. But here we are. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You guys are fantastic. Again, to the fine people on the podcast, I most humbly apologize for listening to me eat an apple. Thanks to Jim Hyden, who produced the program, did a phenomenal job. This is a Buzz Sports Entertainment production. It's the Farzy Show, ladies and gentlemen, presented by Destination Retirement, destinationretirement.com. Also coming from the Steven Singer Studios. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Let's see what the Flyers do with the rest of this deadline. And hopefully tomorrow, we're talking about the 76ers with an incredible bounce-back win over the Miami Heat. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Take it easy.